and then a top coat, if that's what you desire. So there isn't several different bags that you have to go out and be able to use a product. It can go out very, very thin. It's made with a sand that is very fine. So it literally, the word micro topping is what it says, because it can go out to like a 16th of an inch. You can trowel it out to as smooth as a baby's behind if that's what you want to do. So it can go out very, very smooth. It also can go out with texture. So what we're going to do on this board here, you notice I taped off a section here. I used what we call a facing tape. Normally I would use a strand tape to do this, because the strand tape will be able to pull after the micro topping is dry. So we'll pull this a little bit early, but at least this way you'll be able to tell how you can use it if you were doing like a tile pattern, or you're doing a brick pattern, or wherever you want it to go, whatever direction you want it to go, how you can go ahead and use it that way. We based these boards yesterday with a micro topping with some charcoal color packs in there. The reason I did that as a base coat is because when we go ahead and stain these later, pardon me? Sure spray. Yeah, we did this, yes, sure spray. But when we stain these later, that stain won't go into the charcoal and be seen like it would if it was a white base coat. So if the stain ran through it. So we're going to go ahead and mix up some of this micro topping to go ahead and do this board. And then on that board, what we're going to do is we're going to use sure spray, and we're going to do a wood look on the board. Make it look just like it's a wood deck. And then from there, we're going to go into some precast and then move on from there. So let's go ahead and we'll mix up some of the micro topping. It's a very, very hard topping. It goes out to about 3,500 PSI when it's dry. So most concrete that you see out there isn't that hard anymore. So it's a very, very durable topping. If you're putting this in the garage, so you're putting it on the garage, you got a car that's coming in over top of it, there's no problems with this whatsoever. This can go out horizontally, it can go vertically, you can go any direction you want to go with it. All of our products are a single stage product. In other words, you do not have to put down like a bonding agent ahead of time. Everything is within the product. So as long as you prep the concrete first like it's supposed to be prepped, you have no problems. But what's prepping the concrete, right? Well, prepping the concrete can be as simple as using our product called SCR. It is an acid. It takes the place of a muriatic acid, but it's much more friendly to the user. In fact, we'll get some, use some, and put some on some concrete and see how that cleans the concrete. Now, that would be the minimal thing. So you go in and you pressure wash. Say if you're doing this outside, you pressure wash, you use the SCR, you scrub it in, you rinse that off, you let that dry, then the topping, the overlay can go over top of it. Inside, you're probably going to want to grind the floor if you're doing it inside, because you don't want to add all that moisture inside of the building. SCR could be used, but it's one of those things that you might want to grind. So prepping is always the key. If the floor isn't prepped properly, there's oils in the floor, there's tire residue in the floor, all those kind of things. If it can't bond to the concrete, it's not going to be strong. So the prep is the #1 thing that you need to do. Up here, when you have a lot of your freeze-thaw situations, if you're doing it outside, you might have areas where you have a lot of spalling in your concrete. That can be fixed, it can be addressed, but that might be something that you need to do something a little bit more aggressive. You may need to shot blast for that. Because grinding doesn't necessarily fix that, because grinding always gets the surface. When you have a lot of spalling, there's a lot of little divots. You need to get down into those divots to make sure that that's clean so it's going to stick. So that's where the shot blasting may be the answer. So that you can go ahead and put an overlay on it. Okay? So we'll go ahead and mix up some of this, see what it looks like. Any questions, please ask. Don't be afraid, because if you're thinking the question, there's somebody else that's also thinking it. So please feel free to ask any kind of questions that you have. Okay, so we're going to go over here to the bucket and mix some micro toppings. Now, if you have other products that you want to do vertical, there's a product called wall spray. That product can go out to about 3/8.
We can polish the product on the wall? Polishing?
Okay, you don't need to polish it, because this you can get out really, really smooth. So if you had something that you needed to build out, I would probably put wall spray on it to build it out,
And then
and then I would put this over top of it.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. Because this isn't made, because the sand is so fine in it, it's not made to go very thick. It's made to be fine.
What's the maximum we can go with that?
About an eighth of an inch of a lift.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you wanted to go an eighth and then come back and do another eighth on top of it, that's not a problem.
Oh, we can do.
You can do multiple, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Видно, но когда он станет мокрый, будет очень четко видно его цвет. Mica Topping один из самых жестких, самых сильных материалов, он 30 тысяч писов. Что такое 30 тысяч писов? Бетон outside 3 тысячи. 30 тысяч. Это пиздец. Его сгрызть ничего не нужно. Он очень мощный материал, он очень тонкий, из-за того, что у него там очень мелкие фракции. Он ложится прям как шипов, как металл ставится на стену, очень тонкий. Ну, в тех местах, где нужно шипом.
Oh, need some power. One. Let go. Oh, got it. Now, all of Surecrete's bag goods too can be colored. There's we call these color packs. They're called True Color now, but they used to be called color packs. They'll be black in color instead of this brown bag. But all of these products can be colored with these colors, with the True Color. It's one bag per bag of mix to be able to get where you want to go. There's a color chart online, and Owen's probably got some here you can grab. There's about 30 different colors on that chart. So if you want to reach that chart, to the color of the chart, it would be one bag per bag of mix. On the back of each bag, you're going to see a water demand. It's going to tell you how much water that you can add to that bag without hurting the strength of the bag. Yep, here's the color chart. So there's the different colors that you can, if you want to go ahead and color this, you can color it. Okay?
Воды уже смотреть, там написано в листе, сколько надо.
Now I've got this mixed up pretty thin. You can make it thicker if you want. It's all up to you, how you want to be able to use it. I want this to go out pretty thin. Go ahead and grab this over here now. You always want to put this out on something that's a little bit damp. If you put it on a dry concrete, it's going to suck the moisture right out of it. And it'll suck it up sometimes so fast that it doesn't have a chance to bond. So make sure that your concrete is just damp. We call it SSD. It's surface. The surface is dry, but it's damp. Essentially, is what it is.
This is Mica Topping as well. Or?
This is Mica Topping, and I'm getting rid of it. This is Sure Spray, and you can see even the Sure Spray goes out pretty smooth if you want it. So if you just want to use the Sure Spray, you can do that. Sure Spray's got a thicker sand to it, so it's going to be able to build up a little bit higher. The Sure Spray can be, it's just what it is. It says it can be sprayed out of a hopper gun. It can be trialed out. It can be all different types of textures with the Sure Spray. Who wants to feel how smooth it is when you trowel it? Don't be shy, just come and grab the trowel and just work it a little bit.
What's the PSI on Mica Topping?
It's about 3,500, 3,600. It's real hot. It's an extremely durable coat.
Why do you use shoe spray as a base coat? Why not Mica
I could have. I just chose to use Sure Spray. Absolutely could have
Any
used Mica Topping.
specific reason?
Nope, just because I did. That's what I had in the bucket.
Okay.
What you guys could do today, please.
You see, it's very smooth to work with.
What's the open time?
You have plenty of time. So your open time on a bucket, you have 20 minutes on that bucket. And if you keep the floor wet in front of you, just damp, good damp, you're going to keep able to work it no problem.
Water in that or yes? Like that?
Maybe once.
Oh, one. Okay.
Yeah, but not more than that.
Because you see it's gonna get a little dry.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the
and
water
what would
mix
happen is you start pulling the polymers out of it.
Oh, it's gonna be, yeah.
Is the Mica Topping like the floor stamp where you don't want to work it too much because it's going to lose a little bit of its...
This one you can actually keep going on. You can work it a lot. In fact, there's a product that we have it's called Surface Delay.
Yes, I mean,
Okay, so if you go ahead and squirt Surface Delay in this, you can literally get this as tight. You can actually burnish this with Surface Delay.
What's the surface delay?
It's a liquid agent that,
it's like a retarder.
yeah,
Gives
it's
you
kind of
more
like a
time.
retarder.
You add it to the material?
No,
or
no, you just put it on
over?
it. You squirt it on it afterwards. The nice thing about the the nice thing about the Surface Delay, a gallon of it, it's a 9-to-1 ratio. So you buy a gallon, you get 9 gallons of it. So it goes
How's the
on.
temperature?
It works only with Mica Topping?
No,
or
yeah,
with
all
any
the products.
material?
All the products. In fact, if you're doing stamp overlays, I'd suggest using the Surface Delay to get that
In the
air
beginning.
tight. Yeah.
How's the temperature? How's the lowest?
I would suggest the problem with all of the overlays is you need to seal them within a couple days.
Okay.
So the sealer is what's going to dictate your temperature. So I would say your nights need to be at least 45 degrees.
Lowest.
Yeah, lowest. Yep. Give me that trowel, please. Thank you. So if you have a floor that you just need to bring back to life, so they're thinking about polishing that floor, but instead they don't want to spend the money polishing it. This you go in and you prep the floor, you got a brand new canvas, but it's a very thin canvas. You don't have to put a big layer on it to get a new floor. But you have a new canvas that you can go ahead and stain or go any direction that you want to go with it.
How about if the floor is cracked already? You gotta treat the crack first?
You have to fix the crack first, yeah. Treat the crack.
Yeah, treat the crack.
Yeah. Never fix cracks, right?
No, treat the crack, yeah.
Yeah,
Then
treat
it's
the
gonna be
crack.
gone.
Yeah. And there's a product that Surecrete has. It's one product we don't make, but it's called STT22. It's a crack treatment product that works really, really well. Comes in a 2-part tube.
Like epoxy or something like that?
It is like an epoxy. It's more of a polyurethane epoxy. The nice thing about this
Oh, it's, you have two.
too, yeah, and it's also a special caulking gun. So you need to make sure you have the right caulking gun for that. But this treats almost 100 feet of an, if you have an 1/8 inch, if you have a crack, yep. And the nice thing is you can get extra tips too. So if you don't use but half the tube,
Cover, yeah.
you can seal it up and get extra tips for it. The nice thing about this, it'll treat about 100 feet of cracks. You're gonna chase it with an 1/8 inch crack, just a diamond bit, put this in. Our shop where we're at in Florida is over 100 years old. The concrete's over 100 years old. So I did this one crack in the floor down there, and it's a pretty major crack. And I went ahead and did it, and I figured, well, we'll see what happens. I fixed the crack. I came back about 3 months later, I looked at it, and where I repaired or treated the crack, right next to the crack, it
It's another
cracked.
one.
Whatever was underneath causing the crack.
Yeah.
Whatever's, yeah. But the thing is it held the,
Yeah.
where it
It's
was.
just like the new shit that's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, structural issue.
Yeah.
Look.
With all of the overlays, wherever you have a crack,
Yeah.
wherever you
Let's
Some
say
pieces underneath, that's why. The damage
there
is
is
the
a
damage
wooden
is bad.
floor, like subfloor. Would this material go over like any wooden subfloor or like any kind of anything like besides
I have guys that have used it on subfloors. The only problem with a cement overlay is the cement expands and contracts differently to the wood.
That's why I'm asking you this
Yeah.
question. Is there like a fix for it or?
There is. I have a lot of guys that have used it with success. They use what we have called Elasto Shield. It's like a Red Guard product. Okay, so elastomeric coating, they'll put that on first. And they'll poly stitch bond, or they'll put fiberglass meshers over the joints, and then they'll come and do an overlay over
But
top.
they
of
don't
it.
do like fiber mesh all over, or they do?
Don't necessarily need it all over, but you need it where the cracks are, or where the the joints in the plywood, or the the overlay that you're using. So you don't
You
necessarily
think
need it.
it's kind of safe to do?
I've got guys that have had success doing it.
That's like a lot of Crete products do
Few
that.
people been asking me, but I didn't think it
Yeah,
to do it
yeah.
because it was
Right,
kind of, I
yeah.
wasn't.
A lot of guys, what I have them do is that they'll go ahead and they'll do that. Say they wanted a micro topping type floor. So they'll go ahead and they'll do that. They'll elasto shield it, make sure the floor is really tight, so there's not a bounce in the floor. Then they'll go in and elasto shield it. And then they'll put like the Sure Broom, which is our hardest, our most durable overlay. And they'll put that out at a 1/4 inch. Since that's so hard and durable, they put that on top of the elasto shield, and then they'll come back and they'll put a micro topping on top of that. And a lot of guys have had a lot of success doing that. But that again, that would be something that I would tell your people that you're doing the job for. Listen, I can do this, but there's no absolute guarantee.
That's what they don't want to hear.
I know, but that's something that it's because there isn't. We don't know how much that wood is going and how much this does. The nice thing about the Elasto Shield is once you put that down, you have almost like a monolithic floor because that Elasto Shield is
Do
tying
you
everything
think
together.
like Red Guard is a good product, or you would suggest something else?
I would suggest using our product because our product is designed where you can go right over top of it
How much?
with this. I don't Elasto Shield.
Olga will tell you, I don't remember.
Yeah, it's comparable in price to the Red Guard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last shield is over here, but how much is there? That's the fact.
So you're going to use the second one like wet on wet?
I'm just putting more out here because I want to put a little
Okay.
texture over here. But no, you wouldn't have to.
What kind of tape did you use?
This is what we call our facing tape, but I would use strand tape or it's called brick tape.
Like
It has
reinforced
like
with fiberglass?
yes, definitely. Because what happens is with regular tape, because of the moisture, it's too hard to go ahead and pick it up afterwards. So you need that strand tape to be able to do it. Now you can put as little texture in this, or just a lot of texture, depending on what you want to do with it.
How long is it gonna take to dry?
Under normal situations, 3 to 4 hours. Now, if it's cold, that's a different
Yeah, 6
story.
more, yeah.
Yeah, it's a
If you
different story.
force dry,
This is slow process.
does it affect the strength of it?
Force dry? Not really, as long as the surface was wet beforehand. If the surface wasn't wet and then you force dry it, then the polymers that are within it don't bond like they should. And then this one will keep kind of tight up here in this corner. Now, a lot of guys like to do is they'll come in, if they want to do their base coat, their black base coat or a color base coat, you mix this real thin and you come out with a magic trowel. One of these.
Like squeegee.
Yep. On a broom handle or whatever on a handle and squeegee it out. That way you don't have to get down on the floor. Some guys even do as much as this just with the squeegee, depending if, unless you want to get it really smooth texture, then you're probably going to have to get on it. And some guys will go out with a squeegee like this, they'll squeegee it out, and then they'll come over top of it with a Fresnel trowel. Just smooth it out from there.
Which is what? Sorry.
A Fresnel trowel is essentially, it's a steel trowel, but it's on a pole.
Okay,
So they have them 2 foot, 3 foot, even 4 foot long.
okay. Like the, like this guy over
Like
here?
that one with the, nice way to look. What's it called?
This one?
Close like that.
Well, that's a mag float there.
No, but it's close.
Yeah, so it's gonna look
Yeah.
like this,
Okay, so
only it's gonna
round
be on a
size.
handle.
It's just like that, but that's
Just like
Yeah.
that, but different, less thinner.
Yeah, it's gonna be, well, it's gonna be a steel float,
A
steel
little bit of
float.
flex to it.
Yeah.
How about another tool that has like little needles on it? It looks like a roll with little needles that helps to control the thickness of the material.
So like a notch, you can, yes, you can if you want. Most guys are just using like
Here you
the,
kind of you don't trust it.
I wouldn't worry about it. If you're mixing it pretty thin and you pull it tight with the magic trowel, you're gonna get pretty tight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because remember that the sand in this is pretty thin. So if you're using the magic trowel and it's thin, and I keep, what I'll do is if I'm like magic trowel on the floor, I'll do it like a window washer. So I come like this, and I'll keep this leading edge. I may wet it down with a pump up sprayer, just the leading edge. So as I keep going, that edge doesn't dry out. Because as I'm going, what will happen is you're going like this back and forth. Well, this edge is starting to get dry. So as long as you keep it wet, you can keep going with the magic trowel. So if you have a large square footage, I would definitely recommend using the magic trowel on top of it and going from there. But you can see you have plenty of work time with this. And this is where I would probably, if I was going to use the surface delay, this is where I put the surface delay on, right now at this point. Now, what it does is it brings the moisture back up to the surface, but unlike water that actually hurts the concrete surface, it doesn't. It doesn't hurt it. It actually brings the water up, but then it releases the water back down into it, so it actually helps it to cure at that surface. A lot of guys you'll see that they'll go in and guys on machines and stuff, and they'll squirt water in front of them. That's the worst thing you can do to concrete because it makes it weak at the surface. So the surface delay doesn't do that. It's a much better product for making that surface more durable. Any more questions about Mica Topping? Okay, so we're going to move on to Sure Spray. We're going to go over there and do a wood grain with Sure Spray on that board right there. It's very popular now, especially in the South, but really it's all over the country. I've got a couple guys up in Indianapolis that are doing a lot of it up there in Indianapolis, a lot of the wood grain. And by the way, if you guys haven't gone onto Concrete Network or Concrete Decorative on Facebook, please do. There's so much information out there for the guys are doing for you to look at and be able to use, that you can see some new products and some new ways that guys are doing things. So go on Facebook and look up those decorative concrete stuff, and you'll see a lot. Plus, if you go to Surecrete's Facebook page, you'll see a lot right there that guys share with us. So you see a lot of different information. Got a thicker sand to it than the Mica Topping, which means you're gonna have more texture to it when you're doing something like our wood grain. We're gonna have a little bit more texture because the sand's gonna hold it up. So there might be places where you want the durability of the Sure Spray. Sure Spray is our flagship product, if you will. It's one of the first ones that we actually designed. It comes in a winter mix and a summer mix. Okay, the summer mix has a retarder in it. So because you're doing it in the sun or you do it in heat, it doesn't set up as fast. But say you were doing it at this time of the year and you wanted to set up because of the temperature problem, you might want to go with the winter mix so that it doesn't have that retarder. That way you can get it done faster. You don't have to worry about it freezing at night or getting too cold at night that it's not going to set up. Again, 45 degrees, that's your low side, okay? Most of the time that's the low side at night. The other thing is you want to consider is what's the temperature of the concrete itself. You know, if you're doing it on 38 degree concrete and it's 45 degrees outside, what's the real temperature? It's 38 degrees, it's not 45 degrees, because it's playing down there with the 38 degree. So you got to take that into consideration as well. You notice on the back of the bag where it gives the product, and then it gives the amount of water to put in that product. It's up to that point. Up to that point does not affect the strength. Now, if for some reason, say you wanted to trowel out a bunch, or even magic trowel because you had a spalling issue, it doesn't mean you can't go past it if you really wanted to thin it up. It just means that you're affecting the strength a little bit. Water always does that to all concrete products. You're affecting that strength. Doesn't mean you can't do it, just remember that. Okay?
And Sure Spray has some fiberglass in it, right?
Some fibers in it? It does have some fibers in it, yes. I don't know why, I can never come north in the summertime. It's always in the fall and winter.
Summer.
It's not winter yet. It's gone. Spring.
You see it trowels out very similar, but you can feel the thicker sand in it as you're troweling.
That's thicker than this?
Yep, it's a heavier sand.
This got fiber in it?
It does. SureTex does too, yes.
I would think you can go.
About a quarter-inch a time. Yeah.
Oh, this is 1/8, this is 1/8.
Yeah, because of the thicker sand. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Now again, this can be sprayed, so you can get all kinds of different textures by spraying this out of a hopper gun. Feels a little different than the Mica Topping.
Yeah, this is more a little
Yep.
more in.
pump-up sprayer. Just a small pump-up sprayer is all you need.
What about, you know, a lot of you guys that do the elastomeric,
Yes.
they put that outdoors on the floor?
Usually no.
No?
No, because you don't, outdoors you want everything to breathe, you want moisture to travel through. It needs to go up. You don't necessarily want moisture to go down, but you want moisture to come out of the slab. So if you use an elastomeric outside, what you're doing is you're stopping any moisture from actually transmitting out of that. So it's not really a good idea unless you're trying to make it a waterproofing agent. Like some guys, they'll do it on maybe a deck that's overhanging outside of a house. They might do that in elastomeric. But if you're on the ground, I wouldn't use an elastomeric coating outside because of that water problem.
How about verticals?
Absolutely, I would do it that way.
On a vertical with the elastomeric?
Sure. Because now you're putting on a good quality waterproofing agent.
Where's that?
Vertically outside.
Okay.
We were talking about the waterproofing agent horizontally outside. It's not really a good idea.
What about bathrooms? Walls?
Yeah. Yeah, got a lot of guys who they're actually using Mica Topping on bathroom walls.
The heat doesn't affect
No.
the
No,
surface.
no. As long as you seal this well, you won't have an issue. So whatever you're using, like maybe a water-based polyurethane, now I'm comfortable again. Thank you, Wally.
Anytime.
Yeah, I just did a shower recently. It was a wonder board. I wonder board it.
You can apply on the water wall. You gotta put because we use over here waterproof before we put something else.
Yeah,
You know, it's a membrane.
yep. Yeah, before you put the water board up, or the wonder board up. And then
On
put,
the top of the water wall.
on the top, yeah, elasto shield. Just use the elasto
You
shield.
can apply that on the top of the waterproof.
Yep.
Тут замигал.
Well, it's not,
Я його
yes, I sell the
знаю.
waterproofing agent, the elasto shield.
Що мигає?
Our elasto shield, we've designed it so that when we put an overlay to it, we know it's gonna stick to our elasto shield.
You know the issue over here is
Конечно,
you gotta
не
follow the architect
Right.
instructions.
Yep.
They wanna use lattice always.
Right.
Membrane or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the issue here. It's not about our choice.
Yep.
Sometimes it's about whatever they want.
Now, what I would suggest doing, if you go onto ARCAT, which is online, it's for architects.
Okay.
If you go to ARCAT, sure,
Send it to them.
yep,
You can sign it.
yep, exactly. There's a lot of stuff on ARCAT that shows that surecrete is equal to or better. And then once the architect sees that, then they're gonna go that direction. So and ARCAT is constantly being
As
upgraded.
long as you match their product.
As long as you match their product, yeah,
Correct.
exactly. Now, there's some architects that say, you know, I'm using nothing but Elite Crete products. That's all he's gonna use. He doesn't care what you show him, you know, and that's something that, what are you gonna do? But that's there for you. So go ahead and use the ARCAT so you can use the surecrete. ARC 18. Yep. And if you have a job that's a big job coming up and you need some help that it's not showing in ARCAT, contact Oleg. Oleg can contact Surecrete, and Surecrete can help that product be able to get onto ARCAT so that it can be used. Now that takes a little bit of time. So, you know, but a lot of these jobs that you bid, you know, you don't get for 6 months on these big jobs. So, but the nice thing is once it's on ARCAT, it's on ARCAT. And you can use it from that point out. Okay, wood grain.
That's it? And then you can put color on it, right?
Yep.
Tinted, yeah.
Okay, I need another $10 because now I'm going to show you how to put a knot in it.
I have one for $10. Don't stop.
There's a knot. I soften it just a little bit.
You use the suction there, correct?
That's all I'm really doing, yeah. And what I can do is I can change, if I want to take one board and change the just go a different direction. I can take a board like this, and I can take one halfway and the other way. So say for instance I was going to draw a line here. Now a lot of times what I do when I do wood grain is I'll get that 1/8" strand tape. I'll do
Oh, yeah.
We want it on 100.
Now, when you get out and walk on it in socks, that's the best time to pull your tape. If you wait till it gets too hard, what happens is it'll start chipping up on the edge.
And we get chip in the
Yeah.
butter.
Yeah.
That's nice saddle.
And I just took a couple minutes and I didn't try to lay it out perfectly. But just, you can do all sorts of different designs with tape to make it look like it's something a
Stones,
little bit different.
everything.
Everything, yeah. Some guys will actually come back with a palm sander. They'll actually knock it down just a little bit to give it more of a softer appearance. Yeah, it's like, just the top. Just this. Just pick it up. There we go. And what I have is I have some espresso Mica stain. And I'm actually going to brush some of this out to start with. So I have this is an 8-to-1, so it's 8 parts water to 1 part Mica stain. This is a 4-to-1. I can change the look of this just by taking the Mica stain and putting it out. Now you can put the Mica stain out with a pump-up sprayer. You can use a paintbrush like I am. You can use a spray gun, an HVLP spray gun. There's whole different ways that you can actually put it out. want to keep mixing your Eco Stain too as you're using it, because the pigments will settle out to the bottom. Thank you.
They have it in here, so they have this one. They have everything here, like, terms of direction. Let's see. The first one you used together, but the second one just needs this and this. Then, in fact, I don't believe because yeah, but can you write it down for me? Yeah, I want to have it even right now to worry about it for me.
See how it's starting to take up? It's starting. You can see the wood grain popping out of it.
How many coats you do?
What's up to you?
Depends what you're looking for.
I mean, you can just get away, if you want to just do one, you can just do one. I usually put it on and then I'll come back and touch it up here and there. Now, because this is water, I can just throw it away. Not going to hurt the environment to just pinch it if I need to. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some full strength. Always shake it good.
Do you use the different colors or the same color?
This is all the same color. This is all
Concentrate.
espresso.
Yeah, okay.
It just diluted out different with water.
Третий вообще без воды. Вот так.
Концентрация. Это уже возможно. Чтоб так более правдоподобно. Как тебе нравится? Делаешь тест, тебе нравится. Увлекающий
You got 3 different colors over there, right?
Yep. It's all, they're all
This
set.
is pure,
Espresso.
this is with the water.
Yep. And then through the
And that
water
was with extra more water.
was more water, yes.
Right.
But now what I can do is I can come back in,
Эти бутылки, да?
Ну, ты знаешь, там, знаешь, тут светлее, а знаешь, контрастно,
I like the antique with what I'm using.
просто тяжело в не попасть в палец. Очень много случаев, когда ты просто сохранил на бассейнах, это уже всегда зависит от бассейна сделать.
Можно и пол, можно стену. Или стену.
And here's the beauty about the Eco Stain, is if it's too dark, if you don't really like it because it's too dark, I can come back in it with just plain water, and I can still move it around. I can dilute it out with just plain water. And as it's drying, I can actually move my pigment just by the way I bring the brush in it, move it out a little bit, move it into itself.
Пока не застыло, прикинь, можно даже видеть.
So you can spend as much time as you want to be able to come in and feather things so it looks more natural.
Сколько ходит, как тебе нравится? Все, только что тушил там.
You could just come in and flood it. So you can put it in a pump-up sprayer, just go out and flood it. Just walk out when there's your flood. You'll see how this dries up. You'll get the high spots and low spots, how you're staining the floor. When you're doing a micro topping floor, that you just micro top where you get a smooth surface, this is probably the way you're gonna do it. You're probably just gonna go out there and pump up sprayer and spray it, and let it just float.
How many colors can you get in Mica Topping? Something like that? Those colors?
Well, the micro topping is all the color packs, so you can.
Oh, it's a color box. Oh,
Yeah,
right.
so you can take that to any color you want to go to, and then you can use the eco stain as a secondary color. Now you can go out with the eco stain this color, let this dry, after it dries, come back over it with another layer of eco stain, a different color. So you can keep building colors to change it, to move it around.
Yeah, variation.
Yeah, you have a lot of different variations. And this one over here with this tile look, we can just take it, you can go ahead and finish this a little bit. This is just water. I can move it around with the water. This is Kodiak. Straight up Kodiak, move that around. You see, that's why I like to use the charcoal base, because if I get some in there, it's not going to change that color. So if I use this as a white base, I need to really be careful with my eco stain so I don't let it come off to the side. So that's Kodiak, this straight up. If I take another one over here, put a little out there. Again, just dilute it with water. There's a little bit of kayak. See, I sprayed water on that first, so I automatically diluted it.
А потом набрызгано сначала, а сразу автоматически размешивается.
You see how that's moving?
Сейчас материал двигался. Она наводила, просто двигался, где-то там темнее, где-то
I can come in, literally just change color just by dropping things. Let that work a little bit, add a little bit of more color to it. See what color we got here. Here's a harvest yellow. To me, like baby poop yellow. A ruby.
Тоже концентрат. Просто маленькая баночка. Концентрат. Они, это одинаково. Что в галлонике, что в маленькой баночке краска одна и та же.
Да? Что в большом, что в маленьком, это не то же самое. Слышишь, что нет необходимости большой, чтобы небольшой кусочек. Да, то есть это маленькая, и это большая, это тоже, да?
То же самое, просто маленький центр сальса. Если попробовать, если ты нужно, не хочешь все делать, ты можешь попробовать еще раз показать. Если не порвать, то три маленькие, человека вырасти штуки. Не нужно выбирать какие-то. Можешь полочак, где не нужно выбрать, это не нужно.
Come back into it. From this point, it's still changing. I can highlight it. I can make it look like it's more of an antique.
Morning, everybody.
Сэкономим футболку. Пиши два.
You're only limited by your imagination here. Just keep going with it. They seal it this way, but they allow the moisture to come this way. So when that slab is trying to breathe, the acrylic allows that moisture to come through. That's why most guys we tell most people don't do more than 2 coats of acrylic, because what happens is you start sealing it so much, when the moisture starts coming through, then you start getting whitening in that acrylic. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to spin oil. Now, the 340, the HS 340, there's 2 different ones. There's a 340 and a 240. The 340 is a 30% solid. The 20% solids go over regular concrete.
It's just a quick.
And you can go over the overlays. The 30% solid is meant to go for overlays. That's what it's designed for. Extra solids to it. The overlay doesn't breathe as much as the concrete breathes. So it's good for the overlays. And this is just, it's not, we don't need to mix this. It just comes out of the can. Now remember a few minutes ago when we looked at that, it was like, yeah, it looked all right, good. Watch as we continue to put this out.
It's a lot richer right away.
Right away. This is what you want to use outside. So this is a good sealer to go over top of pavers. You know, if you're re-bringing the pavers back to life, over any type of the overlays, over anything that's concrete, this is the sealer. But remember again, like all the others we talked about, thin is the win. Thin coats. Okay, don't do thick coats. I'd like to sell a lot more sealer by telling you guys do thick coats, but you're going to have issues, you're going to have problems if you do thick coats. That's when the whitening's going to happen. You're going to have moisture come up and turn white. So just don't do thick coats.
Smells so good.
Yeah, this has definitely got a.
You don't need to drink after the class.
A lot of guys put this out outside and they don't wear respirators outside because they figure that, you know, there's enough wind blowing around. Whenever I'm rolling a sealer guy, I would wear a respirator. Whether it's inside or outside, wear a respirator. You're still getting the fumes, no matter what. Look how much better it looks now that it's got sealer on it.